From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, first Plateau attacks claim 10 lives by gunmen. 20 suspects in police custody for Oyo Government Secretariat invasion. Kano poultry industry sustains growth amid high demand. And on the foreign scene, African Union presses Mali for post-coup transition road map. Hello and welcome to News Hour tonight. I am Chiamaka Wafo. Now the news. Gunmen have reportedly killed 10 persons in 2 separate attacks in Plateau State. The attacks, which occurred in Mandogmushu and other villages in Bokos and Mango local government areas on Friday night, also left several persons injured, with properties including houses of the villagers set ablaze by the gunmen. The chairman of Bokos Cultural Development Council, Farmasum Fundang, confirmed the killings in a statement on Saturday. Governor Caleb Mutfwang on Saturday condemned the fresh attacks in the affected communities, describing them as a setback to peace efforts in the state. In a statement signed by his Director of Press and Public Affairs, Gyang Bere, the governor said his administration would not tolerate such wickedness in any part of the state and urged security agents to apprehend the perpetrators without further delay. Now, Daily Trust reporter in the state, Dixon Adama, is joining us via phone call to give us an update on the attacks. Hello, Dixon. Good evening.
Oh, hello. Good evening.
Thanks for joining us tonight. Now, what can you tell us is the cause of this recent attack or attacks?
Oh, well, the cause of this present attack, which happened on Friday night, is not particularly different from the causes of previous attacks over the years. It has always been attacks and counterattacks between suspected headsmen and the natives who are predominantly farmers and all of that. So there's no special cause about this, but this one has been happening since last week. There have been victims of about almost nearly 10 people that about also were killed last week as well. Prior to that, there have been attacks within that axis and neighboring villages, which has resulted to killings of people, animals, cattle, and the destruction of farmlands as well as houses. So we cannot actually say this is a particular cause of this one, other than which it has been in the broader umbrella setting of attacks in the state over the years.
All right. So now, can you give us a picture of the security measures across the volatile areas of Plateau State?
With respect to the security apparatus in the state, sincerely, the security has improved lately, and it has not crossed the violence immediately yet, but over time it has improved in the sense that even the citizens themselves have been applauding them in one way or the other, and we have seen reductions in some of the attacks, as well as all the victims, and as well as the citizens have been applauding the security apparatus. One example is that back in Ladi recently, when one of the commanders of Operation Safe Haven was moved from there, both the Christians and the Muslims alike, as well as the natives and the herdsmen alike, came together and said, please don't withdraw this man. We need him here, the person of Colonel Abu Salam. And recently too, we had a situation where Colonel Abu Salam. And recently too, we had a situation here in Josnet local government area when the commander was transferred from there, and the citizens came and said, no, we need this man here because he's doing a great work. Okay. And then we saw the DSS before the Salah period raised an alarm that of impending attacks on some Muslim communities, and they were on their toes. And we didn't see these attacks come to happen. And then just a few days ago too, the Biron Youth Council said, they brought up a statement saying that there was a threat to some IDPs and some natives in some of the local government areas, and then they raised an alert, and then they came and released a statement that after the alarm they raised, the suspected person they raised the alarm on was arrested. So these are unprecedented things that we have never seen before, and we are seeing them now. So that's to say that the security apparatus is well appreciated, even if there are some pockets of violence here and there, or some occurrence of violence here and there. But by and large, we can say that the security apparatus has improved better than before, and the people are appreciating them lately.
Okay, so now, since you said that, now can you tell us the response of the police and the military with regards to this situation?
The police, in this particular attack, the police has not really come up with any statement prior to now, and other security agencies have not responded yet. But the governor himself, who is the chief security officer of the state, has responded today with a statement strongly condemning the attacks, and then saying it's a setback to the state, and then he said the attacks are happening at the time when the state's already going about reconciliation and putting measures in place to return IDPs to their homelands and all of that. And this attack is highly condemnable and unfortunate and regrettable, and he has all the security agencies to be on their feet, always apprehend all the perpetrators of these attacks and make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Dixon Adama, for joining us tonight on the News Hour, giving us an update on the happenings in Plateau State. It's been a pleasure.
Well, thank you very much.
Please do stay safe. Still more news in security. Troops of the Joint Task Force Northwest Operation Hadad and Daji have killed several bandits and recovered some weapons and assets. OPHD's information officer Suleiman Omale said the development was part of a continued offensive against extremists. Omale said the operation took place on Friday at Barbandoka and other areas under the Maru local government area of Zamfara State, where they engaged the terrorists in a heavy gun deal. He added that in a subsequent mop-up patrol, the gallant troops recovered significant weapons and assets from the scene, including one AK-47 rifle, one magazine, 2 rounds of 7.62 mm special ammunition, one locally made gun, one Dane gun, and 18 cows. Omale noted that 10 motorcycles belonging to the terrorists were recovered and destroyed on the spot. In Benue State, abductors of Abigail Orbunde, the wife of a former chief of staff to the immediate past governor of Benue State, Samuel Ortom, and their maid, Patience Ogute, have demanded 100 million naira as ransom. A close ally of Orbunde, Tahab Agezwa, disclosed this in a statement on Saturday. Orbunde, alongside his wife and housemaid, were attacked when they had gone to inspect his farm located close to the Genocide Cemetery along Mobile Barracks Welfare Quarters Road in Makurdi, the state capital, at about 6 p.m. on Friday. He added that Orbunde, who is being treated for gunshot injuries in an undisclosed hospital in Makurdi, said the abductors spoke to him at about 8:30 a.m. on Saturday through the captives. Some religious groups in the Kaduna metropolis have staged a peaceful protest against the state of the nation, which has subjected many to severe hardship. According to the protesters, their action is to draw government attention to the rising cost of living, economic downturn, the spate of insecurity, especially kidnapping for ransom, as well as electricity tariff hike across the country. Now, Trust TV's Bello Musa tells us more.
The street protest commenced at the Nepa roundabout and terminated at the Leventis roundabout in the Kaduna metropolis. The convener Imam Nurena Ashafa says the economic challenges in the state have reached an unprecedented level, pushing many families into financial distress, with widespread poverty affecting livelihoods in the society.
There has been an alarming surge in various forms of uncertainty, therefore affecting the safety and well-being of the people in the state. There has been a rise in the level of cultist activities, decline and decay of moral value within our society at the family, community and society level. Proliferation of small arms and light weapons, drug peddling, drug addiction, trafficking, domestic and sexual harassment, sodomy, crimes rate is getting higher, hate and endangered species by some religious leaders.
As faith-based organization, we are calling on the government and all other relevant stakeholders to come together in solidarity and address these pressing issues, which if not addressed, has seen the colossal and impending danger that lies ahead.
They lament the recent hike in electricity tariff as well as current policies, which have made daily survival become almost beyond the common man in the country. They urge the government to review the tariff in order to make life a bit easier for the Nigerian masses.
We want the people to see that yes, if we interface with the leadership, perhaps they will come to terms and see the plight of the citizens and fixing the electricity issue we have, fixing the economic that is dwindling or that is bad. And
some of the women say insecurity, especially kidnapping, and the current economic hardship have negatively triple impacted them and their children, and call on the government to urgently address it by creating jobs for the teeming youths.
So we want everybody to be secured in your house and when you are going out in your working place. And we want our children to have work to do. And then the other thing is that when we know the government are trying, but the palliative, the way they go about the palliative, it's not everybody that does it. So we want the government to make sure that everybody, if they are doing something, they make sure that the downtrodden, everybody must have what to eat.
There are many mechanisms that can be put in place. For example, when they empower the youth, give them skills so that they will be able to fend for themselves and fend for their family. Things will become lesser. I mean, the hardship will become lesser.
The groups appeal to residents to be law-abiding and avoid taking laws into their hands, while calling on the government to redouble effort in order to bring succor to the masses. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
We move to Jigawa State, where auto mechanic workshops are experiencing a lull in activities as a few car owners come to fix their vehicles in recent times. This is coming as prices of spare parts have more than doubled after fuel subsidy removal that saw an unprecedented rise in the price of premium motor spirit from an average of 200 naira to 700 naira. Ali Rabiu visited the Dutse Mechanic Village and files in this report as presented from our studio.
While in Dutse, a visit to Mechanic Village reveals that most of the workshops are empty, as the auto mechanics are not patronized like it was before the subsidy removal. According to the auto mechanics, they struggle to put food on the table for their families, and things are getting worse each day.
I don't have anything to do now. And I get problem of spending money, and I don't get one way or any other way to accept my work. I cannot provide even 3 meals in a day for myself.
Sometimes there is work, but sometimes you see people are sleeping. There is no work in this mechanic village because if there is no fuel and people used to drive car, we too will not have time to work in this mechanic village because there is no work. Everybody is sleeping, sitting down. That's why everything is harsh.
The story is the same For spare parts and car accessory sellers, these people appeal to the government to look into their plight as the hardships are becoming unbearable.
I come from Nigeria to Nigeria to help us. Look into this our problem in this Nigeria. This is all Nigeria. Nobody can go on himself now. Well, all of us cry against hunger.
Yes, I have so many calls to government because life is when government put responsibilities in our work, we too, we will get what we want. But if government abandons us, so there is no any gain that we will have from government.
Private car owners in Dutse have switched to using commercial vehicles, leaving once busy major roads scanty. Certainly, the auto mechanic business in Nigeria, which was once thriving due to the country's high vehicle population, now faces a significant threat.
Over in Oyo State, police authorities have arrested 20 suspects of the evasion of the state government premises in Agodi, Ibadan on Saturday. Some weapons, ammunition and ATMs were also recovered from the suspects. Police said the invaders are suspected members of the Yoruba Nation group. The attackers who arrived at the place in buses had attempted to enter the governor's office during the siege, but the gallantry of security operatives frustrated the plot. They wore masks and scarves and hoisted a flag suspected to be that of the agitators in the area during the early morning attack. Special Advisor to Governor Seyi Makinde on Security, Fatai Owusheni, confirmed that the situation has been brought under control with a combined team of security personnel successfully subduing the agitators.
Some miscreants, probably on cheap drugs, had seized the opportunity of a function being held at the House of Chiefs to come here as probably they're part of the people holding the function, only for them to turn out to be found that they are hoodlums in camouflage. And when they are challenged, they also challenge the security people. Thank God there is an overwhelming presence of the security, the police, the commissioner of police. Everyone here came on time. You've seen that they've been joined by the military operation force and they are protected. They've overcome them. Why I say they are cheap drugs is that how do people come to the seat of government under the guise that they are Yoruba Nation members and they've come to take the rightful leadership of Yoruba land in the seat of government in Ibadan here. They have been overcome. They have been overwhelmingly dealt with. Arrests have been made, and of course, those of them that had the effort also exchange in gun battle with the security people have also been dealt with appropriately. The situation is still an ongoing process. Some of them will learn and run into different places. They are pulling out the camouflage to disguise. Some of them had attempted to take Okadas and vehicles from some civilians, but I can tell you that your state is peaceful. This is an insurrection. Of course, no government will watch and allow some people on cheap drugs to come and do such a thing.
In a related development, Yoruba Nation agitator Chief Sunday Adeyemo, who is popularly known as Sunday Igboho, has dissociated himself from the invasion of the Oyo State Government Secretariat by some armed men suspected to be Yoruba Nation agitators on Saturday. Igboho said he did not have a hand in the invasion, which occurred in the early hours of Saturday, and said to have been carried out by armed men in army camouflage who were seen hoisting the Yoruba Nation flag and various accessories. Igboho, who is a known leader of the self-determination group, charged the Oyo State Governor, Seyi Makinde, to institute a proper investigation to fish out the people behind the attack and their sponsors. He further urged Governor Makinde to ascertain the motive behind the invasion, while adding that the people behind it should be unveiled, arrested, and prosecuted. Igboho reiterated his commitment to the peace and security of the Yoruba land, noting that he will never be part of anything that would disturb the peace of the region. Away from that, the Nigerian government says Binance executive Nadine Anjarwalla, who escaped custody in Nigeria, has been found in Kenya. A source in the presidency with preferred anonymity confirmed the development as the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the International Criminal Police, the Nigerian Police Force and the Kenyan Police Service have deepened talks to quicken Anjarwalla's extradition. The commission had instituted 5-count charges bordering on tax evasion, currency speculation and money laundering against Binance Holdings Limited, Tigran Gambarian and Anjarwalla, the firm's executives. The FCC arraigned Binance and the two executives on Thursday, April 4, 2024. Recall that Anjarwalla escaped from custody on March 22nd and has been at large since then. Meanwhile, the government confirmed that EFCC had fully taken over the case of Binance from the Office of the National Security Advisor. Now, joining us via phone call to discuss this further is Kudus Alalafia, a legal practitioner. Hello, Barrister Kudus. Thank you for joining us on NewsHour tonight.
Hello. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure being here. Good evening, Nigerians.
Thank you. So now, can you explain in simple terms for us how Nigeria's request to bring back Nadine Anjarwalla from Kenya might work legally?
Okay, if I get the question right, that's the procedure to bring Mr. Nadine Anjarwalla back to Nigeria, if I get the question right.
Yes, please.
All right. Yes, it's a straightforward procedure. The thing is that the conduct of the Nigerian government and the Kenyan government in this regard has to be in line with the country's extradition law. Of course, that of Nigeria, we have our Extradition Act, and of course, the Kenyan government also have they also have their Extradition Contiguous and Foreign Countries Act, which is also with respect to the procedure in extraditing suspects. Now, in this regard, the first thing the Nigerian government will have to do is to officially make an extradition request to the Kenyan government. When they do that, they would then, in addition to that, attach some document as evidence or as reasons or grounds or premise, as you may put it, as to why the Kenyan government should grant their request. So in this regard, it is usually after the application requesting for the extradition, most often because Mr. Nadine escaped from lawful custody, they would need to attach the court ruling that put Mr. Nadine prior to his escape, that put him into a lawful custody. They will need to attach it. They will also need to the charge sheet upon which the trial of Mr. Nadine stands will also have to be attached, as well as other relevant documents that needs to prove that they will be using to prove the offense Mr. Nadine has been accused of. These are what accompanies the extradition request. Okay. Then upon getting to the Kenyan government, of course, they will now have to go through their own domestic procedural way of doing their things, which most often than not, the Kenyan government will look at it if it is in line with their law over there. If the request is in line with their law over there, they apply to courts. If the court also grants him, the executive, that's Mr. President, will look at it holistically. And if at the end of the day they agree, Mr. Nadine will be repatriated back to Nigeria.
Okay, so all this is mostly based on we having an extradition law agreement with Kenya.
Exactly. Ordinarily, there is a convention called the African Union Convention on Extradition.
Okay.
And of course, the Kenyan government is a member. Nigeria is also a member.
Okay.
So ordinarily, this is not the first time Nigeria will be making requests to countries in Africa to repatriate suspects in Nigeria. So I believe, of course, there is a treaty. Even if there is no treaty, there is something we call customary international law, which, of course, by the conduct and the activities, relationship between African countries, they usually grant each other's request, provided the request is in line with the enabling enactments, particularly in Kenya. So far, and the only clause there is that your request should not be politically motivated. And in this regard, it is not politically motivated. They are saying Mr. Nadim is accused of tax evasion, money laundering, and so. Thank you very much.
So, Barrister, we have more questions that I can see that you'd like to really give us a class on extradition laws. But now, you can go further by telling us what are the likely problems that Nigeria might encounter in trying to get Anjarwalla back, and how can they solve them?
Yes, thank you very much. Now, the first problem Nigeria may likely face is when you put the personality of Mr. Nadim Anjarwalla into perspective. He is a British and a Kenyan national.
Oh.
So even though we can say yes, he is by law, he's a citizen of Kenya, he's also a citizen of United Kingdom. So by that, the UK government may say they are also interested in his case, because when it comes to the issue of extradition, then the issue of international human rights law comes into play. While you are trying to repatriate somebody back to Nigeria, are you not going to impugn on his fundamental rights? That's number one. Number two, if the crime in question has to do with maybe part of the country which the so-called money laundering has also occurred, maybe it's traceable to the United Kingdom, you will need to now look at it holistically. In law, we call it conflict of law, because you'll be looking at the Nigerian law, you'll be looking at the Kenyan law, and you'll be looking at the UK law. And you know that in all of these, Mr. Nadim Anjarwalla also has a voice. She would be duly represented. So by the time he's being represented, of course, presumably one of his grounds will be that, you can't even take it back to Nigeria because by UK law, something. So looking at it holistically, Nigeria has to make sure that they put into perspective the UK and the Kenyan extradition law into perspective to make sure that they pass that audit. Number one. Number two is also the fact of differences in executive discretions. Like I said when I was breaking down the procedure, even after the courts has granted the extradition request, the final decision
on the president,
the executive government of Kenya. So, for example, if Nigeria does not have a very good rapport with the Kenyan government, if I can remind you, you know that the way and manner Nigerian
Barrister, I can see that you're really in a very teaching mood, and for want of time, we would have really wanted to listen and learn more about this, but we'll need to end the interview and conversation here. And it's really been a pleasure to have you, and it's been quite informative and educative. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
And that was Barrister Kudus Alalafia speaking to us about the extradition process of Nadim Anjarwalla back to Nigeria to answer for his case. And now is the news hour on Trust TV. Coming up ahead, Kano poultry industry continues to thrive as demand remains strong. More when we return. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. And if you're just joining us, this is the News Hour on Trust TV. A recap of our top stories. First Plateau attacks claim 10 lives by gunmen. And we also told you 20 suspects in police custody for Oyo Government Secretariat invasion. Moving to health matters. In a historic move, Nigeria has become the first country in the world to roll out a new meningitis vaccine called MEN5CV, recommended by the World Health Organization, WHO. According to the WHO, this is especially important for countries like Nigeria, where multiple serogroups are prevalent. The new vaccine uses the same technology as the meningitis A conjugate vaccine, MENAFRIVAC, which wiped out meningococcal A epidemics in Nigeria. The vaccine and emergency vaccination activities are funded by Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, which funds the global meningitis vaccine stockpile and supports lower-income countries with routine vaccination against meningitis. WHO stated that the revolutionary new vaccine offers a powerful shield against the 5 major strains of the meningococcal bacteria, which are A, C, W, Y, and X in a single shot. All 5 strains cause meningitis and blood poisoning. This, it noted, provides broader protection than the current vaccine used in much of Africa, which is only effective against the A strain. Still in health, the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has reported 1 death and confirmed 15 new cases of Lassa fever within 1 week across the country. The NCDC said it's in a situation report for week 13 published on its website on Friday. The center noted a decrease in the number of confirmed cases from 25 cases in the week 12 to 15 in the reporting week, although the number of suspected cases increased compared to the same period in 2023. Cumulatively, from week 1 to 13, the country recorded 806 confirmed cases and 150 deaths, with a case fatality rate of 18.6%, higher than the CFR for the same period in 2023, which was 17.5%. According to the report, no health worker was infected in the reporting week, adding that individuals between the ages of 31 and 40 were predominantly affected by the infection. The NCDC said the National Lassa Fever Multi-Partner Multi-Sectoral Incident Management System had been activated to coordinate response at all levels at the Emergency Operations Center, EOC. Two people have died in a road crash along the Shagamu-Ijebode Expressway. 13 others were injured in the accident that happened over J3 Junction. The crash happened around noon on Saturday. The Ogun Chief Routes Commander and Public Education Officer of the Federal Road Safety Corps, Flores Okbe, said. Omo said those wounded have been hospitalized, while the corpses of the dead have been deposited in the morgue. 2 vehicles, a Toyota Hiace bus belonging to Iyari Motors and a truck, were involved in the accident. The suspected cause of the crash was excessive speed, as the bus driver rammed into a stationary truck parked on the hard shoulder of the road from the rear. Wudil town in Kano State is known for poultry, with most porters stationed along the Kano-Maiduguri road. The poultry business has been in existence for decades and sustaining livelihoods of many who depend on it as a source of income. Salim Ibrahim, who is just back from Wudil, has this report.
To all passers-by, with no exception of even the blind, traveling along the Maiduguri road between Wudil and Gaya local government areas of Kano State, the beautiful display of the well-crafted and improved design of various forms of claywares can never go unnoticed, as they are placed just by the roadside, attracting interested parties to look inward for prospective business transaction. This business has been existing for years immemorial, sustaining livelihoods of many who depend on it to fend for themselves, families, and loved ones. Pottery is one of the crafts of ancient Nigeria that is still being practiced in the most part of the country today. It is Nigeria's most cultural material that has caught the attention and interest of early British archaeologists. Pottery is the act of making earthenware containers. It is the art of forming objects of clay in the moist plastic condition and then drying them by either exposure to the sun, air, fire, or baking in kilns or ovens. The various objects on display include vases, trays, gourds, cash vessels, frying pans, water and burial pots, charcoal pots, incense burners, and many other clay-made articles, which all have their peculiar seasons of demand. However, the business thrives as modern-day people find them alluring.
This business is a generational trait because it has been passed on from one generation to another. I have been in this business for over 40 years now. As you can see, this is called a flower pot. It is usually put in the sitting room and you can find it everywhere in the town. We have water pots and others for decoration of all kinds. We also have charcoal stoves, masa pot, incense pots.
These pieces of improved art and design are now very popular as they are found in every household in one way or the other, serving several purposes. What could be more astonishing and bringing regular income to the potters is the high demand of incense burners and vases of different sizes, usually bought in large quantity, especially during marriage ceremonies. The incense burners are now incorporated into gift packs, which serves as souvenirs to guests who attend marriage ceremonies and other traditional gatherings.
Our children are taking after us. We learned from our parents, and our parents learned from their parents too. People from Taraba, Lagos, and Maiduguri all buy our products, particularly people from Maiduguri. They buy and present it as a gift in weddings. The business helps me a lot, and I love it.
But however the contributions of this business to the economic growth of the state, the marketers are lamenting non-recognition and support from the government.
Our main challenge is firewood because it has become very expensive now. We use it in burning our pots. We want the government to help us with modern facilities so that we can stop using the firewood. I believe the government can do it for us.
He stated that the owners of such places often eject them at will. They said allocating permanent places for them at the outskirts of the town will enable them to burn the potteries and prepare them for use without problem. Salim Umar Ibrahim, reporting for Trust TV.
Let's go over to Benue State, where farmers have been urged to embrace modern methods of farming through innovations that will drive greater outcomes in the sector. Agricultural experts who gave the advice say with the current climatic changes, old methods can no longer produce the needed results that ensure maximum benefits for the farmers and the country as a whole. Jimmy Azande tells us more.
The combined efforts of subsistence farmers and Benue State the appellation food basket of the nation. At the moment, however, farmers are struggling with artificial and natural effects that require a professional approach to agriculture. Experts say the farmers must be strategic if they are to extract wealth from the land.
Start something. Start one form of farming or the other. If you are farming yams, you're going to be farming cassava, you're going to be farming piggery, you want fish farming, whatever. Start it at a little level. But when you wait and you are not doing any form of farming, you have not done anything, and the time you are giving some millions, and somebody tells you that fish farming is very profitable, go into fish farming. You just go and get 5,000 fish and get a pond, and some discover that you don't know how to manage them, and you just incur losses, and this can even lead to an early death.
They say the current demands for farming require training and retraining that is consistent with the changing ecosystem.
As you are working a little time here and there, go and farm and have some experiences. Learn the nitty-gritty of farming if it is agrarian farming, learn the nitty-gritty of poultry farming if it is a poultry farm, or people or whatever. It's the learning process, whatever, how small it is. Even if you have 5 chickens, you are learning.
In recent times, there have been repeated calls for Benue farmers to think beyond crop and fruit farming, which dominated the food basket.
If farming is something you engage into, not necessarily farming rice or millet or maize, you can do poultry farming or piggery farming, and there are a lot of types of farming.
Because most of the people that go to farming now, they don't have challenge, even government pay or not pay. They have something on their table.
The future looks bright, with a new government led by Hassan Talia promising to return the state back to its lost glory in the agricultural sector. While some sort of intervention is awaited, farmers are urged to think out of the box for economic prosperity. Jimmy Azandi, Trust TV News, Makurdi.
Over in Adamawa State, the government says it is rewriting the history of the state through developmental programs geared towards human capital development and massive urban renewal. At a media parley in Yola, the state capital, some aides of the state governor said the last 4 years of Fintiri have been packed with life-impacting projects, adding that the governor has redoubled efforts to place Adamawa among the most developed states across the country. The briefing was to highlight the first quarter achievements of Governor Fintiri in his avowed commitment to deliver on his mandate.
The last 4 years have been action-packed with developmental life-impacting projects. But the last 3 months are completely different in nature, given the fact that many thought the government would slow down. Contrary to that, the government of Ahmadu Umaru Fintiri has undoubtedly redoubled its efforts by coming up with grandiose plans that have astounded doubting Thomases and even followers that believe that all has been said and done.
There are things or projects that have been earmarked or are ongoing, which the populace are not quite in the know of the direct and future benefits. And a sitting such as this will keep them abreast. Although I will also urge you to further look inwards and then convey a similar parley in a language that is most common to our people, because governance is all about the citizenry.
It will not be complimentary to say that his performance is outstanding above others, but it will only be asserting to insist on the fact that really he has changed the face of our state capital in terms of infrastructural development, which is fourfold, one of the fourfold things. He has done his best in human capital development in the field of education, which if known that beyond any other person, he's been paying for services and scholarships of young people in universities, in addition to putting in his very best when it comes to the sponsorship of our tertiary education, secondary, and even the primary schools.
Well, we are all living witnesses in Adamawa State as members of the pen profession. And we have seen the great achievements of His Excellency. And I want to believe that we owe a society a social responsibility to report what is happening. We as journalists cannot turn a blind eye to the developments that are happening in Adamawa State.
It's time for business. The National Identity Management Commission says the planned national ID card will be issued to applicants by their banks. NIMC said it is working with the Nigerian Interbank Settlement System (NIBSS) to deliver the cards to applicants. The agency said in the Friday update on its official X handle that applicants need to request their cards with their name through the self-service online portal, NIMC offices, or their respective banks. According to NIMC, the card will be powered by the Afrigo Card Scheme, an indigenous scheme powered by NIBSS. Still in business, the Program Director and Chief Executive of the Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiatives, Michael Oluwagbemi, has announced the federal government's plan to target over 25,000 jobs and 2.5 billion naira worth of investment by 2027. Oluwagbemi made this known during the Presidential CNG Stakeholders Engagement Workshop held in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, on Friday. He said the initiative which was part of palliative measures to ease the burden of the removal of fuel subsidy, will attract enormous investment and job creation that will impact the lives of Nigerians positively. Officer Cadet Owowo Oluchukwu made history on Friday as she became the first Nigerian female officer to graduate from the esteemed Royal Military Academy Sandhurst in the United Kingdom. This was contained in a statement by the Senior Communications and Public Diplomacy Officer of the British High Commission in Abuja, Atinuke Akonde Alegbe, on Friday. At just 24 years old, Oluchukwu joined 134 other officer cadets in London for the Sovereign's Parade, marking the culmination of 44 weeks of rigorous training as part of commissioning course 232. Oluchukwu's achievement not only adds to the legacy of Nigerian officers at RMAS, which includes notable figures like former Nigerian Head of State Yakubu Gowon and Major General Emmanuel, but also highlights the enduring commitment of the UK to support Nigeria's military education and training. On the international scene, Iran has launched an attack on Israel with drones and missiles. The attack is believed to be a retaliatory move following an April 1 attack by Israel on the Iranian embassy in Syria, which killed 7 Iranian military officers. The United States had earlier warned that Iran could launch a major attack on Israel with more than 100 drones and dozens of missiles aimed at military targets inside the country. The U.S. State Department has issued a travel advisory to Americans in Israel not to move outside major cities in order to be protected by the Dome missile defense system. Still in foreign, the African Union on Saturday urged Mali to provide a post-coup transition roadmap, saying the move was needed to steer the country back to democratic rule. Earlier this week, Mali's military junta ordered the suspension of all political activities, citing a need to maintain public order. The African Union expressed grave concern at the move, saying it was likely to hinder the return to democracy. Malian Prime Minister Chogo Kogala Maiga, appointed by the military colonels who overthrew President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta in August of 2020, said Thursday evening that elections will only be held once the country, which is facing a serious security crisis, has stabilized. Mali's leaders have faced domestic and international criticism raised since the military failed to meet its commitment to hold the presidential election in February and then to step down. On Thursday, the junta also banned media coverage of political parties as the colonels extended their crackdown on dissent in the West African nation. And in sports, in a bid to push for the development of Nigerian children through sports and education, a call has been made to parents to key into combining the two. Trust TV sports correspondent Adeni Ajishafe tells us more.
Talent discovery and development needs proper nurturing to become world stars by combining academics and sport to develop children in realizing their dreams. The 2024 edition of Richard Agboni for Hand-to-Hand Sport Foundation encouraged the society to see the importance of having sport lined up in their school curriculum. Lydia Agbagi from Universal Basic Education Commission buttressed on the fact that sports and education can actually work hand in hand, and sport is a vital part of education. Director of FCT School Sport and Chairman FCT Football Referee Council Adamu Hashim encouraged parents to let their awards mix academics and sports to discover themselves, while students who participated at the event also expressed joy for being part of it.
You can do sport and education so that anywhere you lack, let me say now in the education, because some people now, first graduate, second graduate, they didn't have anything, no work. And if you find out now, you see some of them, that are first graduate, second graduate, some of them now are still in the street selling pure water. But when you have two, that is to show that you have two ideas. If you cannot follow with education, sport is at the other side of you.
Work and no play, it makes that Jack a dull boy. But if you combine play and work together, yes, you know you have something to be in future. It's okay for you in life.
Parents commend the foundation for supporting Nigerian children to achieve their dreams in sport and academics.
Seriously, I'm impressed because it gives privilege to the less privileged, and I'm so happy. So I advise parents to support their kids, whichever sport they want to go.
Tasking the management team to go all out to make sure Nigerians key into academics and sport. Analyzing the events for 2024, Richard Agbonifo made 2-in-1 by alerting people about punctuality while also engaged in sport.
I know we are talking about sports now, but African time is something that has been a negative stigma for all Africans. So as sports enthusiasts, sportlers, people who do different games, coming on time is very important. It helps with integrity. It's not something we should say, oh, we have an appointment at 10 o'clock and we'll come at 12 o'clock. Be punctual. Punctuality helps in everything we do. No matter where we are in this world, it helps. It takes us far. Yeah, the different phases is right now we have already started with gathering the sport equipments and shoes and clothes for the kids. And we have gathered them now already, and now that we're now distributing them to the kids. And also we got them bags, books, and shoes and clothes for the next school year.
The sporting event, laced with the handball tournament for cadet boys and girls, is scheduled for Thursday, April 18, 2024 at the Old Parade Ground, Abuja. That's Sport News. I'm Adeni Ajishafe.
Indeed, all work and no play makes Jack and Jill dull people. Do find time to rest and play. And with that, we've come to the end of News Hour tonight. For more news, programs and documentaries, do well to follow us on all our social media platforms and on our YouTube live stream. I am Chiamaka Nwafo. On behalf of the news production team, thank you for joining us.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.